is up, awesome people, and welcome back to my KrimZen podcast series, where I discuss upcoming games, or any previous games, or any interesting information I've come across that I feel I can discuss with you guys and just hear your feedback on. Alrighty, so for this podcast, this one is going to be on the Alpha, Sapphire and Omega Ruby games that have just been released and everyone has just gone absolutely crazy on. I mean, even I will admit my brain just went everywhere. I was like, oh my god, it's finally happening. It's the madness that we've all been waiting for. It's the remakes Ruby and Sapphire. So, there's not really much to really speculate on at the moment, since all the info we've been giving on is like a teaser on the legendaries Groudon and Kyogre, as well as Rayquaza, as well as just like the upcoming look of the battles with Groudon and Kyogre, which I do want to go into detail about in another podcast. But in this podcast, I actually just wanted to go through and have a look at the original games and just speculate on what features may be coming from the original games and be brought into these remakes. Like, what will they bring back and what parts will they just leave out? So the first thing I actually wanted to just bring up was just this fact was that back in 2002, the 21st in November, Ruby and Sapphire were actually released in Japan, and god, that was a very long time ago. And the release dates outside of Japan was North America's was March 19th, 2003, and in Australia it was April 3rd, 2003, and Australia actually got it before Europe actually, which got theirs in July 25th, 2003, and that actually surprised me for once, because usually Australia's the last place to get it. So 2003, that would make me 10 years old when this game came out. Oh, now I feel even older. But yeah, it's been over a decade since the games were released, so for its time, Ruby and Sapphire were definitely game-changing, indeed, with their mechanics and their graphics. I mean, we did go from like 8-bit to like 32-bit, which was, god, that was just mind-blowing for its decade. But yeah, Ruby and Sapphire, let's start off with the features that the games Ruby and Sapphire brought. They didn't actually bring all too much to the table at the time. It was mostly Emerald that brought more or less the features that we all know and love. The first one was the PokéNav, which was what Mr. Stone gave you, and it gave the functions of the map. It also gave you the trainer eyes. It also gave you the chance to look over your ribbons and your Pokemon's conditions. So we'll start off with the map itself. Well, really there's not too much to the map. It'll probably serve as the map again in the remakes. Again, I can't really see them doing another trainer map again. That's just annoying as hell for your key items. So I'll probably do that again, but the PokéNav will probably sit in your bottom screen like the Pokétech from 4th gen and the Sea Gear, I think it was, in 5th gen, so it'll work the same way as that. It'll also probably contain the PSS if they're going to bring that back again for the remakes, which would be really cool. So that will work as your trainer eyes for rematches, so you can rematch other trainers in-game using the PokéNav. And not only that, it'll probably have the PSS built in as well, using the new PSS feature that they brought into 6th gen, so that'll probably work as that, which would be really cool. So just everything in one little nav, which would be awesome. As I said, it'll have the map in it, trainer eyes. It will also show like ribbons that your Pokemon have earned through contests, through footsteps, through maxing their EVs out, other stuff like that, and their Pokemon conditions, if they're going to bring back Pokeblocks, of course, which I think they will, because Pokemon contests did heavily rely on Pokeblocks to be able to increase how well they did in the visual part of it. And with that, that brings us to the other feature that Ruby and Sapphire brought, which was Pokemon contests. And probably without a doubt in my mind that Nintendo will bring this back, because Pokemon Contest was a major thing for Ruby and Sapphire. So without a doubt this will come back for the remakes. So whether or not they'll do what they did in Ruby and Sapphire, have the contest holes in Slateport, in Falaba Town, and Venonturf, as well as Lily Cove. They may do what they did in Emerald and just have it in Lily Cove City. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I'll also go what replaced those in the Emerald section. Ruby and Sapphire was actually the first to do this. The 4th generation games, Diamond, Pearl and Platinum, also brought back contests, probably not as, well, probably a little bit more complex than what Ruby and Sapphire was. They did have the dancing scene, plus the visuals and the performance side of it. So for those who haven't played Ruby and Sapphire, the Pokemon contest came in like 5, I think it was 5 areas. It was like beauty, cool, cute, smart and tough. And they also had different ranks, which was normal, super, hyper and master. So the only way to compete in like hyper, you had to beat normal and super. So certain moves were then broken down into like categories, like Hyper Beam was cool, Earthquake was tough, Surf was beauty, and they did certain effects, like Earthquake could dazzle your opponents, attract, make people, a Pokemon that came after you nervous, all different stuff like that. And I actually did a couple of walkthroughs on my secondary channel when that was running about Pokemon contests. I may actually bring back the walkthroughs just before the game comes out for Pokemon contests, if we do hear that Pokemon contests are coming back, just to give you guys a chance, a bit of a refresher or a reminder, or even just a walkthrough on how to do the contest. So there was 2 parts to it overall. There was the visual side to it and the performance side to it. Visuals were based on your Pokeblocks that you fed to your Pokemon. The Pokeblocks maxed out your conditions and all that for your Pokemon. So there was like certain berries that would turn into certain coloured Pokeblocks, and certain colour Pokeblocks raise a certain condition for your Pokemon. And so whether or not a Pokemon liked a certain colour was based on your natures. So an Adamant was more or less suited to red Pokeblocks, which raised cool conditions. So I think if a Pokemon had beauty, like a modest nature or something like that, which was beauty, I don't think they liked the red Pokeblocks as well. It's been a while since I've done the Pokeblock stuff, but it was something like that. I'll probably cover, as I said, I'll probably cover this more in detail if I do a Pokemon contest walkthrough. But it's probably enough said about the Pokemon contest, but it does lead me to my next point, which was ribbons. There was like a ribbon for Pokemon contests, of course. There'd be the normal rank, super rank, hyper rank, and master rank ribbons you got from Pokemon contests. There was also a ribbon for getting your portrait done in the museum if you run the master rank and the artist did a portrait of your Pokemon. There was also a EV, Max EVs Pokemon ribbon as well that you got for maxing out your EVs. There was also a ribbon for being the Elite Four. There was also one for getting a certain streak in the Battle Tower or in Battle Frontier for Emerald players. There was a whole bunch of ribbons and all that you could collect as well, and they expanded this as well in 4th gen as well. There was like Footprints ribbon, a whole bunch of fancy ribbons like that. So that was another thing they probably definitely will bring back as well with the remakes. Which I'm hoping they do, because that was pretty fun, just collecting them as well. Same with the contest as well. I'm hoping they bring that back. I'm not too sure about the Pokeblocks as well, if they're going to bring that back or not, or maybe replace it with something 100 times better, because Pokeblocks were such a pain in the ass to do. But yeah, that's kind of really all that Ruby and Sapphire actually brought to the table, was Pokemon contest and ribbons. And the Pokénav, which appeared in Emerald as well. But like I said about the Pokénav, they'll probably become a lot more complex with the remakes. They may have the PSS in it as well as the Trainer Eyes, so will help with like local matches with other people. It'll help with in-game matches and all that. So yeah, we'll now move on to the part that I will be speculating they'll bring parts from as well, which would be Pokemon Emerald. So for those who did play Pokemon Emerald would know that Pokemon Emerald was the remake at the time for Ruby and Sapphire, just like Crystal was the remake for Gold and Silver, and it brought like a few extra features to it, did a little revamps here and there. So to this part I'm like wondering, are they going to follow the Emerald mechanics as far as the Pokemon go, or are they going to do the Ruby and Sapphire? Because Ruby and Sapphire, they had like the basics just to bring you into the game, and Emerald then took it a step further. They vamped up a few Pokemon, added a few Pokemon to gym leaders, levels increased. So again, that's probably like another thing. Are they going to do that for the remake, follow the Emerald levels, or just do Ruby and Sapphire levels? So yeah, where are my notes on Emerald? Okay, so, another feature in Ruby and Sapphire I forgot about was the secret base. This is something I definitely want to see brought back into the remakes, is the secret base using secret power, TM43 at the time. It'll probably come TM something else, like TM 100 and something in the remakes, if they're going to follow the TMs that we've got. So yeah, secret bases. If you found like an indent in a wall, a bush or tree where you could use it, you could actually dig out a little hole that you could decorate kind of like you could your house in gold, silver and crystal, and then store like your secret place. And then if you mixed records with a friend or something, your friend could then find your secret base in the overworld and then challenge your character at the time with your team at the time you mixed your records, and then verse and then gain experience. It was actually pretty good for experience grinding as well. I remember as a kid I had like a team of level 100s in my base, and then went with my Emerald game when I was started a new game on that and just grinded my experience there. It was really good for grinding up levels, that was for sure. They brought that feature back again if the underground mine in 4th gen, which again was another unique experience. But yeah, I'm definitely hoping they do bring back these secret bases. I mean, they'd be stupid not to. It was definitely like a unique feature that kind of died out after 4th gen. But yeah, PokeNav I've been over, but yeah, this is another question I've got in mind as well about the Pokemon conditions as far as the Pokeblocks go. Phoebus evolves with the Prism Scale so far in the game with X and Y. Are they going to change Phoebus back to the old Pokeblock, maxing out its beauty condition, or are they just going to keep it the Prism Scale? So, and while we're at that question, they're going to make Phoebus that freaking hard to find again. And God, that took me like a whole week to find a Phoebus. God, that was like the most challenging part of the Pokédex. But yeah, there's like a few things they could always do. I mean, I've got a funny feeling they won't make it the max beauty condition for Phoebus like they did back in 3rd gen. They'll probably keep it as the Prism Scale to make it easy. Or people will just trade over a Phoebus from X and Y anyway if it's going to change it back to condition, or just bring back a Milotic anyway. Rightio, so now we're going to moving on to the Emerald features. So the first feature that Emerald had, which was the feature that I enjoyed the most, was Battle Frontier, which replaced just like Ruby and Sapphire just had Battle Tower, which was in Gold and Silver anyway. Battle Frontier brought a whole new dimension to the whole idea of Battle Tower. It was Battle Mason in 6th gen, so if you really, I'd be over the mountain or over the rainbow if they brought Battle Frontier back. Battle Frontier had Battle Dome, had Battle Pike, had a Battle Factory, Battle Arena, Battle Pyramid, and Battle Palace, as well as Battle Tower, which was also Ruby and Sapphire, as I said. So each one of these towers had a different function or different mechanics on how they worked. So Battle Dome, for example, was like a tournament with 16 people. It was like a round robin. You knocked out someone, then you moved around to the next round, and everyone who won the first round would go through and verse each other, and you just go through, and the remaining 2 people would verse up against each other, and you win that. Battle Pike, which was always the bloody bane of my existence as a kid. It was a giant superior tower, or Survivor Tower, sorry, and you went through and you had like 3 routes that you could choose from, and if you chose one, you'd get like a good thing happening, you'd get healed or yada yada yada. You'd have like a middle part where you get given a hint or something, and then you could have one little route where you'd have like the worst thing happening to you. You could have like hacks done to you, you'd have a trainer battle, you could go through and have wild Pokemon who do hacks to you come across as well, which was hell annoying. Just all this stuff, and it was just all luck based, and it was the reason why I hated it. It was always the bane of my existence. So if that does get brought back, it'll be like, oh, I could do Battle Pike again. We had Battle Factory, which was where you were given rental Pokemon, so everything was completely random. You can get like basics and get fully evolved Pokemon, and with all like random moves. Usually the more like the fully evolved Pokemon had like the worst moves, and the first stage Pokemon had the best moves. It was kind of like how if you played Pokemon Stadium, it kind of worked like that. Battle Arena, so the place of battle where you test on where you battle, not if you win or lose. So it was more strategy based rather than if you won or lost. They look at more at the strategy you use. If you use like moves like Dragon Dance or Sword Dance, or moves that put the opponent to sleep, or hacks them, or stuff that would work together kind of almost. So really it didn't matter if you won or lose, it was more or less how you battled. So it was kind of good for building strategy as well. Battle Pyramid. So Battle Pyramid was another one of those bane of my existence. It was the hardest tower out of all of them. It was like a 100-floor maze where you go through and you get wild encounters, you pick up items as well, you have to build a bag, and then just go through and try to win your way through it, and kind of like more or less a survival test kind of just summarize it really. I remember like the very last trainer, which was the it was like the Battle Brains. They would have the one for Battle Period had like the Reggies, was like, oh, so good. This is gonna be so easy to beat. After that we had Battle Palace. Oh, Battle Palace, why are you like blanking on me? I think you went like with someone else and you battled or something like that. I don't know, Battle Palace is a bit of a blank on me at the moment. I think it was very much different to any of the other ones. The only other one there was Battle Tower, which again was in Ruby and in Gold and Silver and Crystal, and in Ruby and Sapphire. Really, it's the same as Battle Mason as well. You just go through battle in 4 modes: single, doubles. Pretty sure there was triple battle as well, or there's multi battle as well, and varied in strategy as well. Very random. It usually all the luck-based stuff would be going against you at that time where you didn't want it going against you, like freaking Sheer Cold or something like that would be working all the time. It's like, oh, and Focus Band as well was another one that would be working. It's like, oh, why is this happening to me? Also, on a note of Battle Frontier before I forget, if you beat the Battle Brains, there was like a Battle Brain for each of these places. You got a symbol for it. There was like a silver medal, and then there was a gold medal if you went through and beat it again. Obviously, the second time through would be like 100 times harder as well. I mean, trying to get the Battle Plague symbols were hard. Gosh, it was hard enough doing it the first time rather than the second time. But yeah, you had to win symbols, and that was like the after-game achievement, was getting all those symbols for Emerald. So, like I said, it'd be very interesting if they brought back the Battle Frontier. I mean, that was like the thing I put the most hours into, was like EV training up for the Battle Frontier and then trying to win all your symbols, coming up with strategies and all that. Oh, it was just so fun. So yeah, hopefully they bring that back. That'd be really cool. Alrighty-o, so the next feature that Emerald brought was the Marine Cave and Terror Cave. So, in Emerald, you didn't actually go through and catch Groudon or Kyogre at level 45 at the Origin Cave, I think it was, or Cave of Orin. In Sudapula City, you actually went and saw Rayquaza, who ended the battle between Groudon and Kyogre. Then you went and you had to go to the Weather Institute and ask the guy what was going on as far as the weather, and he would say something like, oh, it's intense sunshine at routes either 105, 125, 127 or 129. That was where you could find Terror Cave. Or it'd be like intense rainfall or something at routes 105, 125, 127, 129. I hit that same routes again. So if it was like droughts or intense sunshine, it'd be a good chance you'd find the Terror Cave, which is where you find Groudon. Or if it was raining, you had to dive and you'd find the underground marine cave, underwater marine cave, and you'd find Kyogre in there. And they both sit at level 70. You could run from these battles if you did defeat the Pokemon, however, or catch it, that you would never be able to find it again. Which was the most interesting thing, because most legendaries, if you ran from them, then you'd never see them again. So, yeah, I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to doing that, if you can catch both legendaries in the game, or they're just going to make it, if you get Omega Ruby, you get Groudon, or if you get Alpha Sapphire, you can catch Kyogre. But yeah, it'd be really interesting if that feature was brought back and you catch both legendaries. Saves you training from one game to the other, like you had to with Yveltal and Xerneas and X and Y. I think Emerald was like one of those rare games, same with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where you can actually catch both legendaries from both games. But yeah, that was another feature. Again, I don't think they'll bring this one back, to be honest, but it would be interesting if they did, so you can catch both legendaries. Another small detail, I honestly, really, God, don't think they'll bring this back, but if they do bring back Battle Frontier, they probably will bring this back, was Artesian Cave. The only thing you could really find in Artesian Cave was Smeagol, and Smeagol, and Smeagol, and one rare candy. Of course, one rare candy. It had to make it at least worthwhile going in there. But yeah, Artesian Cave was home to Smeagol and a rare candy. That was about it. It wasn't really much of a feature, and I'm only mentioning it because it was just another interesting feature of the game. It was the only place we can catch Smeagol, and as we all know, Smeagol can learn every move. It's quite good for Wi-Fi battles as far as learning moves and supporting and all that, especially with Dark Void, or Geomancy now, which has just made it OP. But yeah, Artesian Cave, as I said, they may or may not bring it back. If they're doing Battle Frontier, they may bring it back since it was a feature of Battle Frontier. Or in just one of the places to catch Smeagol. Right, so next up is Mirage Tower. So this was found in the desert. I forgot which route it was. I think it was Route 111 that you could find the desert in. I could be wrong about that, but it's been ages since I played. In Mirage Tower, in Ruby and Sapphire, you went to the desert, you just found the fossils. Yeah, that was pretty fun. However, in Emerald, they upped it up one more, and they did the Mirage Tower, which you found in the desert. So, the puzzles in Mirage Tower were very similar to Sky Pillar. It had cracking floor puzzles, and you needed the Macbite to be able to go through it. Plus, you had to fend off wild Pokemon and Rock Smash as well to be able to find the fossils. So, really, you went through, you grabbed the fossil like you normally would in Ruby and Sapphire, and then the other fossil would just disappear. Well, that's what you'd think at the time anyway. So, as far as the fossils go, because we've got so many fossils now, we've got the fossils from Generation 1 to Generation 6 now, so it also leaves me the question is, are they going to introduce the other fossils into the game, or are they just going to leave it as the it was Lily fossil, and it was, oh my freaking god, I'm like blanking on my fossils at the moment, it's like unreal. But yeah, if I was like Lilith and Anorith, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Anorith's fossil. I could be wrong on that one, but I'm like mind blanking like hell at the moment. But yeah, they'll probably will bring this back because it was a very unique feature, and it made you work a little bit harder to get your fossils as well. Because before in Ruby and Sapphire, it was like yada yada yada. Oh, here's a fossil. Oh, bye bye fossil. And yeah, the next feature, which kind of works in with Mirage Tower, is the Desert Underpass. Now, this became accessible to you after you beat the Elite Four in Emerald. If you go speak to the Digging Maniac on Route 115, just after Falaba Town, he has actually dug so far that he's actually discovered the underpass beneath the desert. And you go along there, you find Dittos as well in here, which is pretty cool. And you actually find the other fossil that crumbled through in the Mirage Tower as a bonus. So sweet, you can actually get both fossils, which was really cool. So I'm actually kind of hoping they do bring back the Desert Pass and the Mirage Tower just for this reason. Plus you got Dittos in here as well. And again, Friend Safari Dittos are far superior anyway. But yeah, hopefully they do bring us back for the reason of getting a second fossil. Alright, so this is a feature that I'm pretty sure they won't bring back, but it's just worth mentioning anyway, was the Magma Hideout. So, Aqua Hideout was in Lily Cove City, where both hideouts were, depending on your game, in Ruby and Sapphire. However, in Emerald, they actually had their own separate hideouts. So, Aqua, as I said, was in Lily Cove, but the Magma Hideout was in Mount Chimney, and plus you could run across other wild Pokemon as well. And of course, after being all the Magma Grunts and all the Magma Admins, you'd find Maxie with Groudon at the very end, and then he'd awaken Groudon, and then he'd go run Havoc as well. And yeah, and same with Aqua Hideout, you'd then find, Archie disappearing in the submarine to go find Kyogre in the underground passage. Right, so the next feature I've mentioned is, again, I'm hoping they bring this back because this would be really awesome, is the Johto starters. So at the end of Emerald, if you've completed your Pokédex, and I know usually in most games you don't get any reward for completing your Pokédex except for this piece of paper, digital piece of paper that says you've completed the Pokédex. However, in the Emerald, if you complete the Pokédex, get all however Pokemon there was at the time, you go to see Professor Birch, and he would actually give you the option of choosing one of the 3 Johto starters to choose to take with you as a reward for completing your Pokédex. So the 3 Johto starters were Cyndaquil, Totodile, and Chikorita. So it was actually a pretty interesting little feature that they gave to you for completing the Pokédex, and for once made it worthwhile completing. They didn't do this in Ruby and Sapphire, however, so it wouldn't surprise me although they actually brought this back as a bit of an award for completing the Pokédex, as well as maybe the Shiny Stone. They may make a return. Or they may do what they did in X and Y and make it you can actually get them a little bit further on down the track, like they did with the Kanto starters, for example. Which then leads to me the question as well, if they're going to do Johto starters, will they come with Megas as well? So that it does open up to more Megas as well. I mean, we do know we're getting Megas for the 3rd gen starters, so we may as well give 3rd gen second gen megas as well, which would be really cool if they did. Another one that they brought into Emerald, which they also did in Fire Red and Leaf Green, was the Trainer Hall. So I don't really think too many people will cry over if this wasn't brought back, but it was really kind of a just King of the Hill thing. You race through and see how fast you could beat the trainers, and then you get rewards at the end. That's kind of really all it was, really. I mean, as I said, they brought it back in the Fire Red and Leaf Green. But as I said, it kind of isn't something to really cry over. It wasn't brought back. Everything's all randomized, so each person would not have the same run through. I mean, I do remember going through Fire Red and Leaf Green. One of my games actually had a shiny Espeon in it, which was like, wow, well, this is interesting. How the hell have you got a shiny? I've not found one shiny at all in my life by that stage. But yeah, I think in Emerald though, if you had the E-cards that came out in like Japan or something like that, you could use them and change the appearance of the floors. But I don't think this came out in the US and all that because we were just unlucky enough. Alright, the next feature. This was in Ruby and Sapphire as well, and a lot of people didn't actually find this. And if you did, you're one lucky bugger because I never found this. And then again, it's not really too much of a game-changing thing, but it was still pretty cool to find. It was kind of a bragging right as well, and that was Mirage Island. So Mirage Island in Emerald is the same way you obtain it in Ruby and Sapphire. It was based on sets values of Pokemon and the island having to match as well, so it's kind of like a lotto thing. So it's like when you went to the lotto thing, if you had a certain ID, you'd get a prize. Well, this would work on the set values of your Pokemon, and if you matched up, you get the island. Yay! So all you'd find in on this island is a berry tree holding the rare Lychee Berry, which is a berry mutation in X and Y, and it's also home to wild Wynots, who are the unevolved versions of Wafflebet. You can get a Wynot from one of the towns as an egg. They'll definitely bring that back, I know for sure. But I'm hoping they bring this back because it's a bit of a worthwhile thing. But yeah, you can catch these Wynots between level 5 to level 50, which is interesting, to say the least. You can catch level 50 Wynot. Kind of like reminds me of in Platinum, with the Resort Island at the end, where you can catch Magikarp between level 1 to level 100. It was kind of like a bragging right if you got that as well. Right. Another feature they had in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, but was the Safari Zone, which was very fun going through getting all those Pokemon. But my honest opinion is they won't have the Safari Zone. They'll actually turn it into Friend Safari, like they did in X and Y. They didn't have the Safari Zone there, they had the Friend Safari. So I'm hoping, for the love of the love of God, please turn Safari Zone into Friend Safari. That was the best thing that Pokemon has ever brought out, was the Friend Safari. Like, I so hope that returns as the Friend Safari. Like, that saves so many hours on breeding. It was so good for finding abilities as well, especially the Dream abilities. Dream World abilities, sorry, I said Dream abilities. Like, I'm half asleep at the moment, as you can tell. But yeah, hopefully they turn the Safari Zone into the Friend Safari. I mean, I would cry if Friend Safari does not make a return. So yeah, that's probably the only possible idea of Friend Safari ever making a return. Otherwise, we're getting the Safari Zone again, which I will cry if that happens, because that was a bitch catching all the Pokemon. Otherwise, the only way they get around Safari Zone is turning all the possible ideas of Pokemon in Safari Zone as Friend Safari Pokemon, which again would be the best thing they could do. Right, next is Move Tutors. So we will have Move Tutors in this gen. X and Y didn't have any Move Tutors, which made it quite bad because we had to transfer Move Tutor Pokemon from Black and White 2 or Black and White into X and Y to be able to get those moves, like Superpower Durant, for example. So Move Tutors will make a return in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. It's going to take me a long time to be able to memorize those. I'm used to saying Ruby and Sapphire. So yeah, Battle Frontier was home to a lot of Move Tutors where you paid battle points to be able to get taught your Pokemon certain moves. Metron was actually one of those moves you can learn back at the Battle Frontier. Even non-playable characters outside of Battle Frontier also gave you moves as well, like for example the gym leader Watson gave you Zap Cannon as well as a move to a move, which was awesome. even though they wouldn't call it a very viable move in Wi-Fi battles. But yeah, that's definitely something that will be making a return, which is awesome. Another thing goes as well is who will be the champion for Ruby, the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. In Ruby and Sapphire, the champion was Steven. However, in Emerald, it was Wallace, and you could battle Steven in Mount Meteor Falls. He was actually the true champion, but he was levels actually went up something insane. So in Emerald, you can verse Steven, as I said, in Meteor Falls. He had a team of Skarmory at level 77, Claydol 75, Cradilly 76, Amoldo 76, Aggron 76, and Metagross 78. So he'd most likely have a Mega Aggron there, and probably Wallace would be the champion as well for the Elite Four, and someone else replaced him as the gym leader for the very last gym. But yeah, that's my pondering question is Wallace going to be the champion, or is Steven going to be the champion for the Elite Four? And if Wallace is the champion, hopefully we can verse Steven as the outside champion in Meteor Falls again. And having said that, I'm hoping they bring back other champions as well, like we had Cynthia in 5th Gen, they could verse in one of the resort islands in Black and White, and even in the Pokemon World Championships tournament as well, you could verse like Red there as well. So hopefully they do something like that as well, as like they did in Black and White too. We can verse a whole bunch of like nostalgic trainers in like one area as well. But they did that as well in Platinum as well. You can verse some of the gym leaders who were travelling, like Jasmine went to your resort house in Platinum as well, I'm pretty sure. If they bring something like that as well, even to your secret base as well, that'd be pretty cool. We have Scott as well. He appeared in Emerald. He kind of just leads you to the Battle Frontier. If you beat all 7 Frontier events, you got this Landsat Berry, which is a rare berry, I think. And if you beat them again for the gold badges, he gave you a staff berry. So he was kind of like just someone who gave you rare berries you can plant. There was also Battle Tent in Emerald, who replaced 3 of the Pokemon contest areas. So in Slateport and Falaba and Vandenturf Town, you have Battle Tents. In Ruby and Sapphire, they were contest holes. The only really thing that these battle tents provided was like a bit of a practice run for Battle Frontier, so they kind of gave you a taste of Battle Frontier. In Slateport City, the battle tent was the first one you came across. It worked identical to the Battle Factory, so you got to pick from 3 rental Pokemon, pick 3 rental Pokemon out of 6 and use them in battle. And once you've beaten the battle, you can get a pick of one of your own opponent's Pokemon to use, or to improve your team, or to stick with the rentals that you had. In Verdanturf Town, it worked kind of similar to Pyramid or the Hearts. You got to use your own Pokemon, except for legendaries, and you got to battle against Pokemon that were the same as your highest level of your team. So you get to pick your basic battles. So yeah, you got to use one attack. That attack is chosen at random. You need like very strong Pokemon as well. So really, this will choose one random attack that you had on your set, and then use it for the remainder of the battle. And in Falaba Town, this was identical to Battle Arena, where you use your own Pokemon and enemies match your own highest level. And this was actually a 3-turn battle, so in those 3 turns, if you didn't knock the Pokemon out in 3 turns, you were then judged on the way that you battled. So there was like a triangle is 1 point, circle is 2 point, across is 0 points, the most points wins. So yeah, it was like depending on how your battle style as to how you got judged if you knocked out the other Pokemon in 3 turns. Right, so that's all the features that were featured in Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, and as I said, I'm hoping they do bring features from Emerald into the game, as they did in Heart Gold, Soul Silver. They actually brought features from Crystal into those games as well, just like in Heart Gold, Soul Silver you were actually chasing around Suicune, which is what you did in Crystal. Instead of versing Suicune in Tin Tower, you actually versed him over in Kanto, which in a way I liked, but at the same time I didn't. But yeah, but I am hoping they do bring a lot of features from Emerald over into these games as well. I mean, it would make a huge improvement to the games. Emerald was in fact one of my favourites out of Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald. Emerald, as I've said multiple times, is my most favourite Pokemon game, followed by Platinum as my second favourite. there was another feature I was going to mention somewhere along the lines, and I've like forgotten. I should have mentioned it at the time because it's probably an important feature, but I guess it's not really that important if I've forgotten. No, I don't think it was that important, so I'm just gonna let it slide. If I remember what it is, I'll probably mention it somewhere. I'll mention it later on in my podcast. But yeah, that's really all I have to say really about all the previous features in the games that may make a return in the remakes. Without a doubt though, they'll bring like new features in, like they did in Heart Gold Soul Silver. They actually brought something new into the game that wasn't in the originals at all, and we hadn't actually seen something like that at all in the past either. I'm also hoping as well they bring in different legendaries as well. I'm hoping they bring back more islands as well, because there was like Birth Island, there was Naval Island where you can catch like Mew, Lugia, I think Ho-Oh was one of them, Deoxys was also there. I'm hoping they bring back islands that you can explore as well. Hopefully we can catch Gigas in there since all the Reggies are in there. I'm hoping they can catch like 3 legendary birds, then again that was an X and Y. Maybe the 3 pixies as well. Features like that. I'm hoping they bring back features like that or just improve upon the game. But really, all this podcast is just a look upon the old games and seeing what they can bring back into the games or improve upon. But yeah, the next podcast I'll be looking on what we've been given so far, which isn't exactly too much, but I'll try and make some speculations from what we've been given. I've already got a few ideas in mind and all that from what we've been given, so yeah, so make sure to keep an eye out on that podcast as well, and future podcasts as well. I'm going to try my best this time around to cover as much as I can on the new games and try and give you guys my theories. I want to hear your theories as well on what will come back and what you guys want to come back as well, which kind of leads into my question of the day. I forgot to mention this at the start of the video again. I'm getting out of habit again. What features would you guys like to see return to the remakes? I mean, I know even before everyone says the walking the Pokemon that follow you, which I will admit was a really good feature they brought in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I definitely would like to see that back. That'd be awesome if they did. But yeah, as I said, the feature I'd like to see back the most is Battle Frontier. I mean, I would cry if that didn't make a return into the remakes. Same thing with the Friend Safari, if that doesn't come back. I'm hoping the breeding things stay the same, like they did in X and Y. I'm hoping they keep everything they brought into X and Y, actually, to be honest. Same with the PSS. I'm hoping that stays the same, because that's been awesome. Onion Room, or the Union Room from 5th Gen, and its predecessors sucked like hell compared to that. But yeah, that's about all I've got to cover. So yeah, so as I said, the next podcast will be actually speculations on, or really analysis on what we've been given so far as the Groudon, Kyogre and Rayquaza and the Megas that we've been told of so far. So yeah, so make sure to tune into that, and until the next episode or my next video, this is Lady KrimZen saying ciao for now, but not forever.